One of the most discussed events of the last week was a visit of the Polish President Duda to Ukraine. A photo of Zelensky and his Polish colleague hugging each other went viral on the internet. They hugged each other in a very European way. You could say they were squeezing each other. Duda visited the Verkhovna Rada, where he was greeted with standing ovations. In general, they welcomed him like the dearest guest. On the eve of his visit, Duda made a very curious statement that now there will be no borders between Poland and Ukraine. There will no longer be a border between our countries, Poland and Ukraine. This border won't exist, so that we can live together on this land, creating and building together our mutual happiness and strength to withstand any danger or any possible threat. As for Duda's visit, it is clear that no one will know the whole truth. However, it is known that Zelensky has proposed to grant Polish citizens a special legal status in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry will draft a bill that is almost identical to the Polish law on Ukrainian aid, which equates Ukrainians to Polish citizens, the press secretary of the Ukrainian president explained. In other words, Poles will have more rights in Ukraine and feel at home. The question is, what is the purpose of all this? Will it help the Ukrainian economy? Unlikely. Then what is it for? To answer the question, we must first keep in mind that the main player in this game is neither Poland nor Ukraine. The main player is the collective West, in this case represented by NATO. Now the laws on friendship and mutual assistance will be hastily concocted, which will become the basis for Poland's participation in the military conflict in Ukraine, bypassing NATO. That is, NATO will be operating in Ukraine simply under the Polish flag. What does Poland need this adventure for? To realize the long-standing fantasy of the return of the rising Kresy, as they call the lands of Galicia and Volhynia in Ukraine. Poland has long been working to revive Poland to its former borders, from sea to sea. Huge funding has been allocated to the special services for this task. A few years ago, an interesting public organization, Restitution of the Kresy, was established in Poland. Its goal is to return Polish property or receive compensation for property left behind after World War II on the territory of modern Western Ukraine, which in Poland is called the Eastern Kresy. The restitution of the Kresy includes the heirs of the former owners of real estate in Western Ukraine. Compensation issues will be handled by lawyers. Currently, about 100,000 Poles can prove that they are heirs of property in the territory of Eastern Kresy. Their relatives lived there until the end of World War II. So far, the organization has a few hundred members. The founders of Restitution of the Kresy hope that the size of the organization will grow. And that's a lot of money. This is the bulk of the land. Elite apartments in Lviv and other cities, castles, manors, factories, breweries. If this desire of Poland is realized, the inhabitants of Western Ukraine will be left with nothing, slaves in their own land. And what does Ukraine gain in this game? Nothing. More precisely, it loses. In essence, it voluntarily surrenders into slavery. Active military operations are being launched in Western Ukraine. That is, everything burns, blazes, explodes, blood runs like a river. But not everyone in Ukraine will be affected. Zelensky and his LGBT cocaine crowd will get their 30 pieces of silver. And somewhere in the bunker they will once again have a party with the new dollar billionaires. That, in my opinion, is what's behind the intimate embrace of Duda and Zelensky. But any scenario can be avoided. And I would like the Ukrainians to be the first to know about it. Thank you for your attention, dear friends. All the best to you. This is UVAROV. I will see you again soon, and we will talk. As always, frankly.